Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story is called Somewhere Out There, a Christmas love story. It follows Leandra's search for love after she locked eyes with a mysterious stranger at a Christmas Eve event. They shared a moment that felt like pure magic, and then he vanished from her life. But love is never simple. Their journey back to one another becomes tangled in betrayal, jealousy, and the high-pressure world of music. Will she get a second chance to find him again? Let's find out. Happy holidays, and let's get into this story.
Sounds like somebody has some tea to spill. Spill it, now. Leandra laughed, rubbing her temple. Let me at least get some coffee in me first, she said playfully. I'll tell you everything at breakfast, because this was a crazy, magical night. She smiled as she ran her fingers over her lips. As the girls stepped out of the elevator into the bustling hotel lobby, Jenna suddenly froze, gripping Leandra's arm with wide eyes. Do you smell that? She whispered, her head tilting as she took in a deep breath. Leandra frowned. Smell what? She inhaled, then the scent hit her. Yes. They both looked around, slowly scanning the lobby with urgency. That cologne. That has to be him, Leandra. Leandra's heart kicked up a notch. The scent, his scent, drifted through the air, unmistakable and intoxicating. Suddenly, she was searching too, her gaze darting across the lobby. I don't see him, she murmured, eyes sweeping over the crowd. Hope fluttered inside her as they moved from the lounge to the coffee shop, past the gift store, scanning every corner. But with each passing second, the scent grew fainter, until it was gone. Leandra exhaled, the hope she'd been holding on to, slipping out with her breath. Oh well, she murmured, forcing a small smile to mask the disappointment tugging at her chest. I know you said it's rare, but he can't be the only one who wears it. For all we know, he's already on a plane back to somewhere. She hesitated, her throat tightening. She didn't want to say the next part, but the words pushed their way out anyway. Back to someone. She remembered his friend saying, "She's waiting for you." But for some reason she didn't think it was anything intimate. Jenna grimaced sympathetically. Yeah, you're probably right. She sighed. It's just, I haven't smelled that scent in a whole year. And the last time I did was when I visited Nigeria. When I looked it up online, girl, I nearly fainted. It's not mass-produced at all. And the price? She pressed a hand to her chest dramatically. Ridiculous. She laughed, shaking her head at the memory. Leandra's thoughts drifted to the bed where the jacket lay. So, he's not just some random guy. Well, at least I have the jacket, she said, a shy smile tugging at her lips. I don't think I'll be washing it anytime soon. She remembered the way it looked when she picked it up earlier, uniquely crafted, a striking blend of dark denim and rich African fabric, the patterns vibrant and bold. Gold piping traced the seams like delicate artwork, the kind of detail you didn't see in something casually bought. This wasn't a jacket you stumbled on in a store. It was a statement piece. Personal. Intentional. And somehow, now, hers. Jenna smirked. You're hopeless. Leandra chuckled. Come on, let's eat before I starve to death. But her heart ached a little. She knew in her heart that he was thinking of her, but the question was, will she ever see him again? Just moments earlier, as the girls had stepped into the lobby, another elevator had closed, whisking the mysterious young man and his friends up to the 7th floor. Christmas Day. As she expected, the day meant for family, laughter, and giving thanks slipped by in quiet solitude. She had another gig later that evening, So instead of traveling to the other end of the island where her family lived, she chose to stay in Kingston, a decision that felt more hollow with every passing hour. She closed the curtains against the cheerful world outside and slipped into her softest sweats and an oversized t-shirt. Her apartment was bare of Christmas decor. She hadn't seen the point in partaking in traditions that, for the past few years, had only meant spending Christmas alone. Her thoughts drifted back to the argument with Sasha the day before. She had to admit, she felt a quiet sense of pride for standing up to her. She had avoided Sasha for as long as she could, ever since discovering, 2 Christmases ago, that Sasha had slept with her boyfriend, Dave. The betrayal had devastated her. And it wasn't just the affair itself, it was the deliberate cruelty that followed. The way Sasha made sure she knew. Showing up at events wrapped around him, flaunting it, forcing Leandra to retreat to restrooms where she cried alone, humiliated and broken. Little by little, she had begun to disappear. She was becoming a shell of herself, and people were starting to notice. Sasha had been tearing her down piece by piece. But when she looked back at the months after the breakup, one truth stood out clearly: music had saved her. It was the only part of her life untouched by the chaos, the only place where Sasha couldn't reach her. After a while, Sasha faded into a low profile, and word eventually reached Leandra that Dave had left her for someone else. That was the moment Leandra finally took her power back. She saw Sasha again at an event, this time without Dave. Something was off. Sasha was trying too hard, overdoing the confidence, the laughter, the bravado. But beneath it all, Leandra could see the humiliation, the embarrassment she was desperately trying to hide. For the first time, Leandra didn't shrink. She walked straight up to her and laughed. "You thought you were getting a good man, didn't you?" Leandra said, shaking her head. "Turns out you got the same man I did, controlling, narcissistic, possessive. You thought he would be different with you. But don't worry, you'll get over it." She laughed softly under her breath as she walked away, head held high, and deliberately took a seat in the front row, knowing Sasha was about to perform. And just as Leandra had suspected, Sasha unraveled on stage. She fumbled her set, missed her cues, and lost her rhythm so completely that another singer had to step in and finish the performance. Sasha had never forgiven her for that and had vowed to destroy her. A few months later, she saw Dave at an upscale corporate event where she and Jenna were performing. She'd caught him trying to charm the daughter of a CEO, a girl half amused, half bored, clearly seeing him as nothing more than entertainment. A jester for the night. Someone whispered to her, "Isn't he with you?" She answered so fast it surprised even her. "No, he's not," Leandra had said. This was what everyone else had been trying to get her to see all along, the desperate attempt to belong, the way he pretended to be someone he clearly wasn't. The girl he was trying to charm could see it too. She wasn't impressed. She was laughing at him and he laughed along, not realizing he was the butt of the jokes. And in that moment, Leandra asked herself, "What the hell was I thinking?" Jenna snickered beside her, covering her mouth to muffle her laughter. "This is what we've been telling you," she whispered. "But you just couldn't see it." They watched in quiet astonishment, as the young woman gave him a mocking smile and walked away. His smile froze as he noticed the mocking laughs and whispers from her friends and people close by. He glanced around, maybe looking for someone to save him from his own embarrassment. Then his gaze landed on Leandra. He must have expected hurt, anger, maybe jealousy. But what he saw instead was disgust and pity. He excused himself and started walking toward her, clearly intending to explain, charm, or manipulate his way out of the situation. Leandra didn't wait to find out which. The moment she saw him moving through the crowd, she grabbed Jenna's hand and slipped away into the sea of elegantly dressed guests, disappearing before he could reach her. She wanted no further association with him. None. A few minutes later, a security guard approached her. "Someone is asking for you, says he's your guest." Leandra didn't hesitate. "I don't have a guest." And just like that, he was escorted out of the building. Thinking about it now, she actually laughed, full, genuine, disbelief-laced laughter. She had been such an idiot back then. But those years weren't wasted. She'd done the work. She'd rebuilt herself. She knew now exactly what she wanted in a man, and she had finally met him. Somehow, deep in her heart, she knew she would see him again. She didn't know what or how, but she felt it with every fiber of her being. Almost instinctively, she pulled his jacket tighter around her shoulders, snuggling into its warmth, as she curled deeper into the bed. The fabric, the scent, the memory of his eyes, she let them wrap around her like a quiet wish. Junk food scattered across the sheets, the glow of the TV flickered in the dim room, and she let one Christmas movie roll into the next. The laughter on screen, the romances, the happy endings. All of it only echoed how painfully quiet her own life felt in comparison. As days passed, hope dwindled. The chance of ever seeing him again felt more impossible with each passing day. Yet, the memory of that night clung to Leandra like a song on repeat, vivid, haunting, impossible to forget. The jacket, the only tangible piece of him she had. A reminder. A portrait of a moment that had burned itself into her soul. Each night, before she slept, she would look at it, fingers trailing the fabric as if it held some hidden message, some clue that could lead her back to him. And on the nights she missed him most, a stranger she didn't even know, she would wrap herself in it, allowing his scent to envelop her, lulling her into dreams where he was real, where they danced again, where that kiss never ended. But morning always came, cold and unforgiving, and reality was merciless. She had nothing, not a name, not a photograph, not even a single clue to follow. And worst of all, the image of him was slipping away, like a dream dissolving at sunrise. She fought to hold on to the details, the way his long, neatly coiffed locks framed his handsome face, so sharply defined, it could have been sculpted by the gods. Those deep, dark brown eyes that had snared her, pulling her under like an irresistible tide. The way he towered over her, a presence so commanding, so effortless. She could still feel him, her fingertips tracing every defined muscle beneath the thin fabric of his t-shirt. She felt the heat radiating from his skin, each touch igniting something deep within her. She had never felt that way before. And the thought of never feeling it again sent a hollow ache through her chest. Who was he? How would she ever find him? Had he returned to some distant corner of the world, never sparing a thought for the girl who still burned for him? She had been sure he was her soulmate, but now the intrusive thoughts came flooding in. But what haunted her most was this: if fate ever brought them together again, would he remember her? Would he care? Or had she been nothing more than a passing moment in his life, while he had become an obsession in hers? Her heart sank as she glanced at her calendar. December 31st. The upcoming New Year's Eve ball at the hotel loomed over her like a cruel joke. A night meant for parting and ushering in the new year. She would be there, her voice serenading happy couples, families, friends, as they toasted to the new year, while she remained trapped in the past, haunted by a few minutes that changed everything. She'd give herself this time to remember, to indulge in the fantasy a little longer, but soon, she would have to let go. And that thought, the idea of truly letting go, was the most painful of all. The day before the gig, the girls met for rehearsal at Jenna's house, fine-tuning their set list, tweaking and revising, making sure every note would resonate with the patrons. But Jenna knew her friend well. She couldn't ignore the heaviness surrounding Leandra even though she gave the rehearsal her all. Her friend moved through the motions, but the usual spark in her eyes was missing. Jenna hesitated, biting her lip as she adjusted her guitar strap. Would it be cruel to give Leandra hope, or would the truth only break her more? Should she tell her? She thought back to that unexpected moment at the coffee shop, where she was performing, when the scent, the same intoxicating, rare cologne, hit her like a wave. Her fingers faltered on the strings, striking a bad note, her heart hammering in her chest. It had to be him. She looked towards the door, and there he was. The long locks. The tall, muscular frame. That unmistakable smirk that curved just slightly on one side of his lips, just like Leandra described. It is him, she declared excitedly in her mind. Every instinct screamed at her to stop playing, to drop everything and rush over, to tell him everything, to get him and Leandra together again. But she didn't. Instead, she forced herself to keep playing. As her excitement grew, she kept her eyes locked on him. He moved to a corner table, ordered a cold drink, and even seemed to be enjoying her set, nodding his head to the beat and snapping his fingers. Her break was coming up shortly, and she would take that opportunity to talk to him, but then, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his relaxed expression shifting to something more urgent. Without hesitation, he reached into his pocket, pulled out some cash, and left it on the table before rising from his seat. No, 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 damn it, you are not getting away this time. She barely finished her song before blurting out a rushed excuse, hopping off the tiny stage as a few patrons glanced up in confusion. Her heart pounded as she weaved around tables, nearly knocking over a waiter in her urgency. By the time she reached the door, he was already across the street. The New Kingston streets buzzed with life, cars speeding past, pedestrians moving in clusters, their conversations blending into an indistinct hum. Come on, come on. She anxiously shifted from foot to foot, willing the traffic light to turn green. Just stay there. Don't move. The moment the light changed, she bolted forward, pushing past the slow-moving crowd. She was so close now, just a few feet away. Her breath hitched with excitement. Oh my God, I can't wait to tell her. Just as she was about to call out to him, a young woman appeared out of nowhere, her arms slipping around his waist as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And he turned without hesitation, leaning in to kiss her softly on the cheek. Jenna stopped cold, her heart plummeted. A few moments later, a brand new high-end sedan rolled up beside them. He pulled the door open for the woman, whispered something that made her smile, then slid into the back seat beside her. And just like that, he was gone, his now signature scent disappearing with him. Now, sitting across from Leandra as they ran through their set, she wondered, should she tell her? Would knowing put her heart at peace? Or would it only shatter what little hope she had left? Jenna exhaled as she strummed absent-mindedly. She took a deep breath, gathering her courage before flashing a big smile. I saw him yesterday, you know. Who? Leandra asked, her brows knitting in confusion. Cologne man, Jenna laughed uneasily, trying to gauge her reaction. Leandra's face lit up for a brief moment before hesitation settled in. How do you know it was him? They both answered in unison, his scent. They both nodded in agreement as they chuckled. Jenna leaned forward eagerly. His exactly as you described, tall, the hair, that killer smile, and of course, the scent. It was him, Leandra. Leandra searched her face, her expression shifting. Well, I guess it didn't go well. Or you would have called me the second you saw him. Jenna let out a long sigh. Yeah. I wanted this for you so badly. In my head, it was all perfect. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. We have the gig at the hotel. I'd invite him to come watch you perform, and then you two would pick up where you left off on Christmas Eve. Like a damn movie. She exhaled in frustration, watching as Leandra's smile lingered, but her eyes dimmed. I just don't understand why he came to me, and then vanished. Leandra looked away, her voice soft but steady. You saw him, Jenna. A man like that. No one should expect him to be single. She let out a small, humorless chuckle, shaking her head. This is insane. I've been pining over a guy the past few days. But Jenna. Her voice dropped to a whisper, as if speaking it too loudly would bring back the longing. I've kissed a few guys, but nothing like this. His hug, it was warm, electric. And that kiss, the passion, the intensity, the way it stirred something deep inside me. She trailed off, memories washing over her, before shaking her head. He is my guy. I can feel it in my soul, my bones, every part of me knows he is mine. She sighed, I have to stop. It's not late, Leandra. If he is your soulmate, you have to meet again, we just don't know when. Jenna squeezed Leandra's shoulder. You know what? Let's make him into a bad person, like. Can't get the grapes, you call them sour. Jenna tried to lighten the moment. I mean, you yourself said he ran off with his friends. They could have been running cause they did something terrible. Jenna looked at her questioningly. Or they could have been late for something. We weren't together for a long time, but it was enough for me to know that he was not that type of person. There are some things you can't hide about yourself, and I don't think he is a bad person, but hey, I could be wrong. That connection spoke deep within me, and to be very honest, that was the safest I have ever felt with someone in a long time. She had a faraway look in her eyes as she said, it doesn't matter now anyway, cause I'll probably never find out. Jenna reached for her hand, squeezing it reassuringly. Hey, it's okay, take your time. I honestly believe that if it was meant to be, he's going to find his way back to you, and if that doesn't happen, then I know, not too far in the future, that your real prince will come. He will be just as handsome and just as striking, cause girl. Jenna shook her head and laughed. That man is handsome. Oh my god. He's hot. She started fanning herself, as if she was burning up. Leandra laughed. I wish Mark was here to hear this. Mark is used to my craziness. Jenna dismissed the comment, but was happy to see her getting back to that cheerful person she knew and loved. Leandra gave her a small, grateful smile, but as she thought about the jacket still hanging in her closet, she knew the truth. Some people don't just walk into your life. They leave an imprint that never fades. Thank you, Leandra whispered. For what? Jenna queried. At least I know he is real. As soon as she got home from rehearsal, she took the jacket from the closet, running her fingers over the fabric one last time. The scent was almost gone, but the memories lingered, woven into every thread. With a deep breath, she folded the jacket carefully, smoothing out the creases as if she was sealing away not just fabric, but a moment in time. She placed it in a box, her fingers lingering on the edges, unwilling to let go. Just one push to the back of her closet, and it would be out of sight. Out of reach. Out of mind. But her hands refused to move, and instead she held it close to her heart. Putting it away felt like closing the door on something she wasn't ready to lose. Her silent hopes, her foolish daydreams, the moments she replayed over and over in her mind. It meant giving up the fantasy that maybe, just maybe, fate would be kind enough to bring him back. She thought of all the times she had caught the faintest whiff of that intoxicating scent, her heart leaping as she spun around, eyes desperately searching the crowd. The rush of anticipation. The crushing disappointment when he was nowhere to be found. Now here she was, standing in front of her closet, clutching the last tangible piece of him. The jacket felt heavier tonight, as if it carried more than fabric and stitching, like it held the weight of a moment she hadn't been ready to lose. Her gaze drifted to the beautiful red dress she had finished earlier that day, now perfectly fitted on her mannequin. She lifted the jacket and gently draped it over the shoulders of the dress. The contrast was striking, her sleek, elegant gown paired with the bold, artistic jacket. Two completely different aesthetics, yet somehow, they complemented each other flawlessly. A small, incredulous smile tugged at her lips. Absurd, she thought. And yet, it looked right. Tomorrow, she whispered to herself. I'll do it tomorrow. after the new year. A single tear slipped free, warm against her cheek. She wiped it away quickly, almost angrily. I will say goodbye, whoever you are. The New Year's Eve party was in full swing, alive with bright lights, elegant decor, and the unmistakable air of hope and promise for a wonderful new year. The girls commanded the stage, their performance riveting, their harmonies weaving effortlessly through the grand ballroom. The audience watched in awe, utterly captivated by the magic they created with their vocals and instruments. Dressed in elegant red gowns, both women exuded confidence, looking every bit the divas and musical geniuses they were. Jenna's energy was infectious, drawing cheers and admiration, while Leandra, though flawless in her delivery, was battling emotions she dared not show. Being the consummate professional, she made sure she delivered her very best, pushing through the conflicting emotions. They interacted, had sing-alongs, and made sure the audience was happy. The partygoers swayed in a glittering haze, clutching their party favors and drinks as they sang along, lost in the promise of a perfect night. Bursts of laughter and cheers rippled through the ballroom with every passing moment. This crowded, sparkling room filled with love and hope only reminded her of everything she didn't have. And somehow, singing through that ache felt like a quiet kind of torture, one she had no choice but to endure. She didn't want to greet another new year alone. She didn't want to walk into 12 more months with the same empty ache. But wanting didn't change the truth. She counted the songs down, silently willing the night to end. All she wanted was to slip away to the sanctuary of her hotel room, crawl under the covers, and disappear from the world, even if just for a little while. It was time for a break so the organizers could do some activities, and she welcomed it. Mark walked over to them, complimenting them on a great job as usual. Will you be okay? Mark and I will be in the lobby at the cafe. Yeah, go ahead and enjoy your night. I think I might just go back to the room. Okay, we'll all meet back in an hour, Jenna said, as she entwined her fingers with Mark's and walked arm in arm, disappearing up the stairs. Leandra smiled wistfully. That's a woman still deeply in love. She glanced around the ballroom, debating whether to retreat to the green room behind the stage, or go back to her room, but the sight of people exchanging secret glances and soft kisses made the air feel stifling. She needed space. Air. An escape from the noise that surrounded her. Without a second thought, she grabbed the jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The moment it touched her skin, a strange warmth settled over her, not just the physical comfort of the fabric, but something deeper, a quiet stirring of hope she hadn't felt in days. As Leandra stepped out of the ballroom, the cool hallway air brushed against her skin, along with a voice she recognized instantly. Sasha. Her stomach dropped. She heard her before she saw her, chattering with Anne, one of her devoted little shadows, who treated every mediocre gig Sasha tossed her way like it was a favor from heaven. Leandra froze mid-stride, eyes darting around for an escape route. The last thing she needed was another run-in with Sasha tonight. It was bad enough that the woman had been appearing at nearly all their recent performances, like some unwanted shadow haunting every stage they touched. Her gaze landed on the massive Christmas tree positioned near the entrance, glittering, towering, and for once, potentially useful. Perfect. She hurried toward it, slipping behind its thick branches, just as the two women peeked into the ballroom. Leandra prayed they would walk off, but instead, they stopped. Right in front of the tree. Leandra silently groaned, flattening herself against the wall. She slid down until she was practically sitting on the floor, hidden but completely trapped. How on earth was she supposed to explain stepping out from behind a Christmas tree? She would look like an idiot. I should have just kept walking, she scolded herself. Why am I hiding from grown women like a child? But it was too late now. Guess they are on a break, Sasha said casually, her voice slicing through the silence as she lit a cigarette. The harsh scent drifted through the branches, mixing unpleasantly with the sweet pine and Christmas decor. Leandra exhaled softly, equal parts irritated and resigned. Of all the places she could be on New Year's Eve. She was crouched behind a Christmas tree, hiding from Sasha and her minion. Just her luck. They're really getting some good gigs these days, and chirped, oblivious to the storm brewing beside her. They even toured the Caribbean earlier this year. And I heard their schedule for next year is packed. USA, England, shut up. Sasha's voice cracked like a whip. Anne jumped, her words dying instantly. Sasha flicked her cigarette to the pavement, grinding it under her heel, and take a full step back. For the first time, she saw something raw in Sasha's eyes, jealousy sharpened into rage. They've been stealing our jobs, Sasha hissed, her tone low and venomous. Both of them. Anne blinked, confused. But Sasha, we don't even do jazz and blues like they do. Behind the Christmas tree, Leandra's breath caught. She leaned slightly forward, peeking through the branches, her pulse thudding in her ears. Stealing jobs. Us? When? It struck her then, just how deeply Sasha's resentment ran. This wasn't petty rivalry. This was obsession festering for years. Sasha turned her glare on Anne, eyes narrowing as she raked her gaze up and down her minion's body. Shame flushed Anne's cheeks. She instantly shrank into herself. Maybe she shouldn't have spoken. Sasha didn't tolerate contradiction, especially not when the truth exposed her insecurity. So you are on their side? Sasha glared. What? Are you some kind of fangirl for those two losers? Anne lowered her head, swallowing hard. For all the mediocre gigs Sasha tossed her way, she needed the work. She couldn't afford to anger the woman who held her livelihood in her fist. Still, deep inside, a small spark flickered, admiration. For Jenna. For Leandra. The Jenna-Leanne duo. Everyone in their scene knew the name, two women rising fast, working hard, carving their own path with grace and undeniable talent. They were everything and wanted to be. Everything Sasha feared she could never become. And here was Leandra, crouched behind a Christmas tree, realizing for the first time just how much they threatened Sasha's fragile sense of superiority. The truth stung her like cold air. This woman really hates us. Sasha let out a chuckle, cold, sharp, stripped of anything resembling humor. Well, at least they didn't get the Dannon and Foster job, she said, her lip curling with satisfaction. I made damn sure of that. If we weren't getting it, they shouldn't either. So they went with some band out of the USA instead. Anne perked up, eager to contribute. Oh. The fashion group that launched their kids as the next big thing. I heard that the show was incredible. The press, the blogs, everyone's still talking about it. Behind the Christmas tree, Leandra felt her stomach drop. What? This can't be. Their agent had emailed them weeks before, excited, saying they were being strongly considered for that job. Then suddenly, without explanation, it was given to someone else. They blamed budget shifts, industry politics, anything but this. Was Sasha interfering with our work? Leandra mouthed silently, shock and anger flaring hot in her chest. This wasn't petty rivalry. This was sabotage. She pressed a trembling hand over her mouth. I have to tell Jenna. This can't continue. Kevin and Dharma are going to do great. I heard he is moving back to Jamaica to work with Dharma. Anne added quickly, trying to smooth the tension and regain Sasha's approval. At the mention of Kevin, Sasha's entire demeanor shifted. Her face softened, her eyes taking on a dreamy, almost glassy sheen. Kevin, she sighed. That boy is handsome. Anne exhaled in relief. At least she said something Sasha liked. I've been trying to get with him for weeks, Sasha continued, adjusting her hair and straightening her dress, as if preparing for the fantasy she was building. I heard he's single. And I am going to do everything in my power to get him. Leandra stared from behind the tree, incredulous. So this is what drives her: status, attention, a ladder to climb, even if she has to step on everyone to do it. Sasha scanned the area once more, her ambition practically vibrating off her. Forget about these losers, she said with a dismissive flick of her wrist. I heard he's here tonight. I need to go find him. Just like that, the two women drifted off, heels clicking, voices rising with excitement, swooning over Kevin Foster and the elevated world they imagined he could hand them. Leandra remained hidden in the shadows of the Christmas tree, stunned, furious, and suddenly very aware. Sasha wasn't just a nuisance. Sasha was a threat. And this was no longer something she could ignore. She stepped out from behind the Christmas tree, her heartbeat still stumbling over the shock of what she had overheard. For a moment she simply stood there, letting the cool night air settle against her skin. A faint shiver raced along her arms, and she tugged the jacket closer around her shoulders, his jacket, letting its warmth steady her as she climbed the steps toward the lobby. She needed to find Jenna. She needed to talk about this. About everything she had just discovered.
Thank you for listening to Somewhere Out There, a Christmas story. We look forward to you coming back to listen to part 3. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and also subscribe to the channel for more intriguing stories. Happy holidays, and we will see you on the next one. Until next time, walk good.